And what does he do? He cheats on her with a, you guessed it, younger woman. Without reading a single chapter, just no way. I have no self-control. That is absolutely not gonna happen. And sitting back and thinking to myself, my God, how much time did I just waste? Like, what base are we talking? Is the line thicker the further that you've gone with a person? I have many questions. Hi there, my name is Shannon, and if you have somehow stumbled upon my channel, welcome and thank you so much for being here. And welcome as well to my first ever mid-year reading tag, which we are going to be remixing just a little bit. I'm going to be taking out a few questions and then also adding one in because I feel like I really need it to be able to fully encompass my reading experience for this year. My reading this year has been extremely slow. I have fallen into so many more reading slumps than I think I ever have before. And also, just the books that I've been picking up for some reason haven't been hitting. I definitely am more so a romance reader, but I kind of made it a goal for myself this year to try and branch out. And so I've been dabbling in a few different genres that I usually don't touch too much. Anyways, today is July 1st, 2025, which is perfect because we are officially done with the first half of the year. And since I have had such a slow reading year, we're going to be talking about a lot more than just books in this video. I consume a lot of different media in a few various forms. To simplify things, we're going to kind of condense these into 3 different categories. So that's going to be books, TV shows, including anime and Korean dramas, and then the third category is going to be webtoons and manga. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts on all of these things that we're going to be discussing, and then also if you have any recommendations, especially when it comes to books, just because I really am trying to branch out and kind of expand my reading horizons. If you have any book recommendations beyond the realms of, I'd say, romance and fantasy, I would love to hear those. Let's get started. I have my notes here in front of me, and the first question is the best book that I've read so far this year. Best book, hands down, that I've read so far this year, and also just happens to be the only book that I've given 5 stars, is Project Hail Mary. Towards the beginning of the year is when I was really deciding to start branching out with my reading, and I really wanted a good, solid audiobook. So what do I do for the most part when I need recommendations on things? Head to Reddit. I found a thread that was basically discussing and asking for people's favorite audiobooks of all time, and I swear at least half of the 100 responses said Project Hail Mary. So it was perfect. It was science fiction, which I really can't say. I can't recall the last time I read a tried and true science fiction book, if ever. I mean, I think the only one I could think of is Strange Love, which I don't really know if that counts. That was a really fun time, by the way. I started the audiobook the next day, and it is by far the best audiobook that I have ever listened to. If you are thinking about giving Project Hail Mary a try, I cannot say enough that you should listen to the audiobook. The narrator does such a great job with the different voices and just really kind of conveying the emotions that the character is going through. This book had me cracking up. I was laughing so much. I found it so funny. It almost brought me to tears a few times. And although it is a science fiction book and the author, you can tell, has done his research, he knows what he's talking about, and I am not a science girly at all, but everything that he was describing sounded like it could possibly be true. And he definitely does use scientific terms and explains things in a scientific manner, but still it felt very palatable to the average person. I got the gist of what was going on, and that is saying something. I was hooked within the first few minutes of listening to the audiobook up to the very end. I just wanted it to last forever. I was so sad to finish it. It's kind of hard to come by such a gem like this. When it comes to the plot and the premise itself, I really can't give too much away because essentially you go into it. This main character, he wakes up and he's in a spaceship. He has no idea why he's there. He doesn't remember his own name even, much less anything from the past. Throughout the story, you kind of figure out why he's there, what he's doing, what the mission that he's supposed to be on is. You need, there is a reason why the author sets it up in the sense that you're waking up in the body of the character who knows nothing. That's how it's supposed to be. Anyways, Project Hail Mary as a book and as an audiobook especially has set the bar so high that it makes me really sad because I know that it's going to take a really long time to find something that just is such an enjoyable experience. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna be trying to reach that level and searching for that in every single book and audiobook that I read these days. Next up, we have my favorite TV show that I've watched so far this year, and I couldn't narrow it down to just one, but I feel like that's okay because the two that I'm going to be talking about I feel like are very different. We have a Korean drama and then we have a French show. We're going to talk about the Korean drama first. I talked about this drama already in my tier ranking, all 72 Korean dramas that I've ever watched, which in the few months since I posted that video, I've come to realize that I missed a few. I think we're more so at like 74 or 75. Anyways, the number one spot absolutely goes to Lovely Runner. I admittedly have only watched 2 Korean dramas so far this year, but I can wholeheartedly say that even if I had watched 20, this would still absolutely be my number one spot. I cried in episode 1, which I can't tell you the last time anything made me cry in the very first episode, and I was just a goner from there. Lovely Runner is essentially about our female lead, whose name is Im Sol. She is a huge fan of this super popular Korean actor and singer named Ryu Sun-jae. In the first episode, and this is not a spoiler because this is something that is mentioned in like the summary that you could just look up online regarding the show, but in the first episode, she finds out via the news that he has unalived himself, which obviously devastates her, but she is able to travel 15 years into the past and essentially is trying to save his life. This drama is a romance through and through, and it is just one of the most beautiful portrayals of the genre that I have ever seen across any form of media, whether that be books, manga, webtoons, movies, TV shows, whatever. This is a top-notch romance. Im Sol as a female lead is selfless to a fault. Like, she is the best fan that I think any celebrity could hope to have. And the way that the drama unfolds, you kind of start off assuming that you know everything about the characters, but you are proven wrong time and time again. I really can't say too much without spoiling, but it is such a refreshing take on time travel as a trope and all of the different characters. You can't help but fall in love with them and help but fall in love with their stories and root for them. The impact that this drama had on me as a whole, I was smiling, I was kicking my feet throughout. I cannot recommend it enough, truly. The other best TV show that I have seen so far this year is Voltaire High, aka Mixed 1963, which is a French TV show, which I only discovered and only started watching because it was mentioned in a Reddit thread that I was reading, and just thank you to the author of that thread because I fell in love with this show. The show takes place in France in 1963 at a previously all-boys high school that is for the first time allowing women to attend. All I can say is if you are a romance fan, you will love this show. Even though it takes place at the high school, we still kind of dive into the lives of the teachers as well. And so there's a few romantic storylines that are also taking place with the teachers. But then the high school students, the romance is just top tier. We have a few different romantic dynamics at play in the show. We have this really tall and attractive and smart student who falls for this really kind of like your average girl. And then we also have kind of like the mysterious bad boy and then the innocent good girl who also has like a backbone of steel. The last dynamic of the students, I don't really support them as a couple, but they are fun to watch as well. And then the teachers are just also had me like screaming and kicking my feet. It's really sad to say, but the show was unfortunately canceled after just 1 season, but I still highly recommend that you give that season a try. The show gives off such unique vibes. The acting is really subtle, but beautifully done. Nothing is too over the top, but that never takes away from the integrity and kind of the messages that the show is trying to convey as well. There is a large cast of characters and quite a few different storylines going on, but somehow the writers have like woven it together in a way that seems seamless. I dedicated an entire hour-long video to this show that I posted a few months ago. I have a spoiler-free section in the first 10 minutes, and then the rest of it is kind of diving into the individual scenes and the individual character dynamics and talking about my thoughts and feelings regarding those. So if this sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend that you go check that video out, at least the first 10 minutes, where I kind of yap a lot more in depth depth about why I like this show. But yeah, Voltaire High and Lovely Runner are my reigning champs when it comes to TV shows for me so far this year. I just love them so much. And next up, we have the best manga slash webtoons that I've read so far this year. I have one for each. For webtoons, we have, drumroll please, Tears on a Withered Flower. We are pretty early on with this webtoon right now. I think that for the non-paid chapters, there's only like 7 out right now, and then you can pay more for up to like 15, which I may or may not have done because it's just so good. When it comes to webtoons and manga these days, I really only read those from the romance genre. So yeah, I think literally every single one that I'm going to be talking about in this video today at least has like some sense of romance in it. So just be aware of that. With Tears on a Withered Flower, we have our female lead who I believe is in her early 30s. She lives like this very bleak life. She is married to this guy named Minchul, and while they had what seems like a good relationship in the past, it has like by far soured. He treats her like shit. She works multiple jobs just to try to make ends meet, is like constantly tired and just looks really sad all the time. And what does he do? He cheats on her with a, you guessed it, younger woman. So as this is kind of like all happening, this younger man shows up. He is just like really intent on the female lead. Like he gives off obsessed with her vibes, but not in like a creepy way. Like he's definitely intense about it, but it comes off really cute and endearing. So that's kind of the premise, and that's kind of all that we're really experiencing right now at this stage of the webtoon. But man, am I sucked in. I am seated. I'm here for the ride. The art. When it comes to webtoons and when it comes to manga, if I don't like the art, quite frankly, like even just from viewing the cover, 99% of the time, I won't even pick it up. I won't even give it a shot. I'm like really picky with my art styles. And the art style in this webtoon is so good. The art style really gives the whole webtoon this kind of like dark and mysterious vibe. Just the color choices for the different shadows, the way certain scenes have light coming through. It is just a remarkably beautiful and also kind of like sensual type of art. I feel like I have read so many webtoons and manga that I know pretty early on whether or not I am going to vibe with them. And I knew from the very first chapter that I was going to be enjoying this. That opinion has only continued to grow better and better. I couldn't really tell you what the plot is other than what I have told you so far, but I don't really care. Tears on a Withered Flower, man, like I'm just so excited for this one. I wait desperately for each new chapter to be posted every week. I can guarantee you that my money is going to be continuously siphoned to this webtoon because there's just no way I'm gonna go 8-10 weeks without reading a single chapter. Just no way. I have no self-control. That is absolutely not going to happen. Now, my favorite manga that I've read so far this year definitely has to be His Sweet Aroma. I forget how I came across this one. I think it might have also been Reddit, but I am so glad that I did. With this manga, our female lead is 35 years old, which can I say, like, I love me a female lead that is older, especially just because I'm growing older these days. I enjoy it. I like seeing the more mature characters. So our female lead is 35. She is a struggling writer, and her editor essentially recommends that she spice things up and try writing about male escorts. So the female lead, in order to kind of like do some research, she decides to hire one herself and comes to find out that the male escort is her housekeeper, who is this younger dude who is like really attractive. I can't really say too much from there, but I am enjoying the vibe of the manga so much. It is not over the top at all. It is also very character driven, and I would also say that Tears on a Withered Flower is very character driven as well. The characters just seem very real, like they're not there to just serve to fulfill certain character archetypes or stereotypes. I am loving the romance so far. I'm loving the artwork as well. It's subtle and soft and has very beautiful pacing, and is also really straying away from kind of the really standard cliches that I feel like I see often in shoujo, and then even often in some josei as well. For both of these that I've mentioned, Tears on a Withered Flower and then His Sweet Aroma, they're both ongoing, but so far where they're at right now, I am enjoying them so much. They have without a doubt been my favorite that I've read so far this year. Next up, I'm adding this question in because I saw a Clockwork Reader do it, and I feel like I need to have this in. I had a really bad experience with a book especially. So my least favorite slash worst book that I read this year is, without question, A Love Letter to Whiskey. Don't ask me why, but when I'm bored, sometimes I do find myself scrolling on Facebook. This book popped up as a recommendation from a romance book group on Facebook that I was not a part of, and all of the comments were raving about it. I thought to myself, sure, why not? Let's give it a try. The premise intrigued me, and I was also just about to finish up my latest audiobook, so I decided to listen to it on audio. Horrible, horrible mistake. I get like extra mad when I end up really not liking an audiobook, and I also usually, I feel like I vet them a little bit more. Like if I'm really going to be spending 15, 20 hours listening to something, it's gotta be good. It's gotta be at least like a 3-star rating from me. I was deceived, to say the least. The book takes place over the span of a decade, and we are made to believe that there are like these really solid reasons why these two main characters can't just end up together from the very beginning. But yeah, no.
Editor Shannon here. I realize now that the rest of what I say about A Love Letter to Whiskey could technically be considered a spoiler, so just be aware of that. If you don't want to be spoiled about the book, maybe just skip to the next section.
Over the span of a decade, they continuously cheat on their respective partners. It just like gets worse and worse, and all of these reasons that are supposed to be like the reason why they can't end up together, they make no sense at all. You can tell that the author just put these little reasons in to progress the story, to drag things out longer, probably in the hopes that it would make the payout in the end a lot better, but it like did not at all. I hated both main characters. They're like two awful, selfish people. Usually, I don't mind like a morally questionable main character, especially like one that's our POV, like our main POV that we're reading from, if I can be convinced somehow that what they're doing is justified. That's good writing to me. I was not convinced one single bit when I was listening to this audiobook, and I just remember finishing it and sitting back and thinking to myself, my God, how much time did I just waste? I could have been listening to so many other books that I have on my TBR. But I got to a certain point where I kept getting so mad at the characters' choices, and somehow I wanted to give them more and more chances. And it just got to the point where I was too deep in to turn back. I had to finish it. I just kept holding out hope that somehow there would be a redeeming quality about these characters that would maybe allow me to like the book even just a little bit. That never happened. So yes, Love Letter to Whiskey, by far my least favorite, worst read of the year so far. Next up, we have my worst show that I've watched so far this year. And I feel like my experience with my shows this year has been generally pretty positive. And so yeah, this one really stands out as just like the black sheep of the family, if you will. I was debating with whether to put this one in my biggest disappointment question, but it ended up being more than just a disappointment. I really just did not like it. My issue with this drama is that I love both actors separately. I think that they are so talented. I thought to myself, well, I love them both so much. The premise looked cool. The trailer was kind of like dark and mysterious. I figured I must love this. This is probably going to end up being like at least a 4-star watch for me. Nope, it was extremely boring. The story started off intriguing, but I just got so bored. Every character in the show seemed so sad the entire time. I really can't remember a single time that the two main characters' expressions shifted from anything beyond this, or kind of like a wistful version, or just flat out stoic. There was no passion. Really not much happened in the drama. The romance was like two pieces of cardboard trying their best to make it work. Anyways, yes, I am very sad because I did want to like it a lot, and that just definitely made my disappointment in the end more vivid. But it shifted beyond just disappointment and into a genuine, like visceral kind of dislike. Was not a fan at all. There are so many better dramas to be seen. Now, when it comes to my worst manga slash webtoon, I don't really know if I can talk too much on this because if I don't like a webtoon or a manga, I drop it immediately. I don't even really give it a second chance. So yeah, I don't know if I can really count any or include any here, because if I don't like it, I just don't continue reading them. Best sequel that I have read so far this year has definitely been Two Twisted Crowns. I love the Shepherd King duology so much. They are without a doubt in my favorite books of all time. Two Twisted Crowns, while I admit I didn't love it as much as One Dark Window, I still loved it a lot. It had all of the same themes that I enjoyed from the first book, but really expanded on them. I was left at the end with like barely any questions left unanswered. I loved the second couple's romance that was going on in the second book. I really enjoyed like the spicy scenes, even though they're not like super spicy. I think that they are so well done and so well written. It was a beautiful conclusion to the duology. I fell in love with all of the characters, even the quote unquote like evil monster that is living in Elspeth's head. I fell in love with him too. Highly recommend this series. And yeah, it was, I think, also probably the only sequel I think that I read this year. The best show sequel that I have seen this year is also the only show sequel that I've seen this year. But even if it weren't, I can guarantee you it would be included right here in this section. Without a doubt, Apothecary Diaries Season 2. It's so good. I have to admit, I struggle these days when it comes to anime. I don't really pick up too much unless there's a female lead character. And in that sense, my choices are pretty much narrowed down to just romance anime these days. And I'm not just like saying like female lead as in like, you know, in a lot of shonen anime, there will be like a side lead female character. No, that's not good enough for me these days. I need a woman to be at the center of the show. So it is no surprise that the only two animes that I have watched this year have been Apothecary Diaries and Free Rein. I'm just really tired of men being at the center of things. I don't know what to say, you guys. I mean, they have always been at the center of things, and I just want more. Anyways, Apothecary Diaries Season 2 is just everything that I loved about Season 1, almost like ×2 in terms of my enjoyment. I love Mao Mao as a main character. She is the definition of refreshing when it comes to anime. She does not fulfill a single standard shoujo stereotype that's out there. She is so degaff about anything besides medicine, and it is hilarious. And the romance? See, I still do enjoy romance, and I like it a lot when a story can kind of weave in romance so seamlessly in the way that I think Apothecary Diaries does. And also it's like a slow burn, at least from like Mao Mao's side. Like Jinshi has like been down bad for her since the beginning. We just love to see a male lead that is obsessed with the female lead, and she really has no idea of what's going on because, as I said, the only thing that she cares about is her medicine. Anyways, the storyline is fire. I love that it all has kind of like this sense of mystery about it with all these little like different side plots that are going on. The artwork is fantastic. The voice acting, I watched the original Japanese version and the voice actors are absolutely incredible. The entire show is fantastic. I have to admit, I have a few episodes left to watch. I kind of wanted to wait for them to pile up a little bit. So I think I have like 5 episodes left to watch, which is a treat for me. I can't wait to binge the rest. Best sequel for manga/webtoons. I don't really have one for manga. I do have one for webtoons though, and that is Aesop's Romance Season 2. Aesop's Romance, I was almost about to put in biggest surprise, but I was also kind of not surprised. I don't know. As I mentioned, I can tell pretty early on whether or not I'm gonna like something. And even though the main male lead is not the type that I generally enjoy these days, there was something about him, something about the female lead, something about the artwork as well, which is like phenomenal. I do not know how the artist is putting these out on a weekly basis. Stuff like that. Not to say that I could even achieve that level of beauty, but it would probably take me a year to do one episode. I have no words. It is absolutely stunning. With Aesop's Romance, it's kind of been a slow burn, and I have been enjoying that slow burn so much. But with Season 2, we are really ramping it up, and it somehow includes spicy themes and the context of spice without being explicit, without being graphic, but still, it is so so sensual, and just really freaking hot too. I love the fact that the characters are both older. I think Aesop is like in his early 30s and our female lead is in her late 20s, I want to say. She might also be the same age. I can't really remember exactly. The webtoon does include kind of like these stereotypes that we often see in Korean dramas, and then also like your standard office-centered webtoons as well. But something about it just seems more special than the ones that I've read. Aesop as a main male lead is like kind of whiny, but that comes across as really charming to me somehow. He's whining because he is so obsessed with the female lead. And I just love to see a man essentially on his hands and knees for a woman. Like, something about it just gets me going. Now, for new release that I haven't read yet, but that I want to, I would say I have two. One is Caught Up by Navessa Allen, and then number two is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I loved Lights Out, which is the first book in the Into Darkness trilogy. Caught Up is the second one. I had a banging good time with that book. I listened to it on audio, and that is another one that I feel like is talked about so much in like the book space, book communities, just in terms of it being such a fantastic audiobook. The narrators killed it. They did such a good job. It is also a duet, which if there's going to be multiple POVs is absolutely my preferred way of listening. Anyways, when it comes to Caught Up, all I really know is that the male lead is the female lead's cousin from the first book. That's really all I know. Don't know the premise, haven't read the summary. I just know that I'm going to be giving it a shot. I have not listened to an audiobook that Teddy Hamilton has narrated, but I do think that he's really popular in the romance space. So I have high hopes. My second one that I haven't read yet, but that I really want to, is The Night and the Moth. As I mentioned before, I really enjoyed the Shepherd King duology, and so this is Rachel Gillig's next book. And yeah, I also don't really know too much about this book. I haven't read the premise nor the summary, but I will be giving it a shot, and I am excited about it. For newly released shows that I haven't watched yet, but that I really want to, I only have one, and that is Our Unwritten Soul, which is a Korean drama. My best friend recommended it to me, and all I know is that it is about two twin female lead characters who end up swapping lives. That's literally all I know. Actually, I lied. I do know that it stars Park Bo-young, who is an actress that I really enjoy, and also Jin Young from GOT7, and I haven't seen him in a drama since Yumi Cells. So I did like his acting in that drama as well. I just didn't really like his character too much. I'm excited to see how they do in this drama. When it comes to newly released manga slash webtoons, my experience with being exposed to new manga and webtoons is vastly different from my experience being exposed to or hearing about new books or shows, for example. It's not often that I am on the internet or on Reddit and I'm hearing about upcoming webtoons and manga. The way I'm exposed to new webtoons and manga is I open up whatever app I read them on, and if I see a new one and I like the artwork and I think that the premise is cool, I'll start reading it. Like, I'll give it a shot. So it's more of kind of like an instantaneous kind of experience, more than like oh, I've heard that an author dropped this new book and so I'm gonna add it to my TBR. So yeah, I don't have any manga or webtoons for this particular section. For my book anticipated release, I have to say probably Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I never gave Babel a shot. I don't know why. I just don't think it really intrigued me too much. I did read the summary. That was a very long time ago, and I think my mind was elsewhere. So maybe I'll give it a shot one day. But this one is intriguing me. I've seen quite a few people who have gotten, the arcs talking about it a lot, and the setting seems interesting. The only thing I really know about this book is that it takes place in hell, like a journey through hell, which sounds great. Now, I have read R.F. Kuang's other works. I have read the Poppy War trilogy. That was like world-altering, ground-shaking, life-changing kind of an experience for me. And then I've read Yellowface as well. So yeah, I really enjoy her writing. I enjoy her form of storytelling, and I am excited for this one. For anticipated releases for shows, I have one anime and two K-dramas. The anime is The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, which is supposed to be a romance anime. And when it comes to high school centered romance stories across all mediums, I more so enjoy to focus on content that features older characters, just, closer to my age specifically. And it takes a gem for me to really enjoy a high school setting. I think the first episode of this particular anime is coming out in July, maybe sometime this week. And I really don't know too much other besides the fact that it is a romance, but I have seen it recommended so many times, especially on Reddit. And I just feel like Reddit oftentimes has like the recommendations that resonate the most with me. The artwork seems really charming, and yeah, I don't know. I just have a good feeling about this one. And I've come to really trust my intuition when it comes to not all, for sure, but a good amount of content that I consume these days. The first Korean drama for my anticipated releases is a drama called S-Line. Number one, I'm attracted to this drama because Lee Soo-hyuk is in it, and he is just one of my all-time favorite Korean actors. I just think he is so attractive, and his voice and kind of just the way that he carries himself is really compelling to me. I did look up the premise for this drama, and it is apparently about these red lines that appear above people's heads that connect them to people that they've had sexual intimacy with, like sexual relations with in the past. And then of the three main characters, kind of like I think the main character is a high school student, and she has been able to see these lines since birth. And then Lee Soo-hyuk plays like this detective who is trying to solve like the mystery behind these red lines. And then I think the other main character is a teacher at this high school. Premise fascinates me, and I have a few questions for it already, like what constitutes these red lines appearing? Like, what base are we talking? Is the line thicker the further that you've gone with a person? What line do people have to cross for this line to appear above their heads and connect them to other people? I have many questions. I think it's only supposed to be like 6 or 8 episodes, so it's gonna be a short one. Short and sweet, hopefully. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. My second K-drama for anticipated releases is Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, which I know is based off of a webtoon, which I have not read, but a friend has read the webtoon and really likes it and sent me like the initial kind of like poster for the K-drama and said that I should give it a shot when it comes out. So I'm gonna do just that. I do know though that it has a stacked cast. An Hyo-sup, aka Jinwoo from Saja Boys, is the lead character, I think. Lee Min-ho is in it. Jisoo from Blackpink, Chae Soo-bin, and Shin Sung-ho are also in it, apparently. That is a pretty hefty cast right there. I have high expectations. As I've said, again, I usually stick solely to romance genres when it comes to webtoons and manga, but if I like the drama, then perhaps I will give the webtoon a shot as well. For my manga/webtoon anticipated releases, these are all just season 2s of ones that I've already been reading and enjoying. I am looking forward to season 2 of Turning the Mad Dog into a Genteel Lord. I love that webtoon so much. It is a slow burn romance, but the burn is fantastic. It's essentially about this priestess who cracks me up, number one. She is like the most money-driven priestess, and she basically gets placed in charge of this like past soldier who is like the mad dog character. And I would definitely say that he has like more dog-like qualities than human-like qualities to begin with. She's basically trying to like prep him to go back out into society and to be like a functioning human, but it's a struggle because he was part of this group of soldiers that has seen like literally the worst parts of war, and I can only imagine has tons of unresolved trauma to deal with. And so yeah, the story is kind of about like their dynamic, her just trying to teach him, you know, how to be like a proper functioning human, which takes her like quite a while, but he slowly starts to, you know, grow and learn and develop, and the slow burn romance between the two of them is just so much fun to me. My second anticipated release is another webtoon. I don't have any manga for this section, but it is Childhood Friend Complex. I do love me a childhood friends to lovers, but this one is top notch. It is hilarious. And I feel like a lot of things slap on the rom-com tag, and who's laughing? Not me. That's for damn sure. Not with this one, though. I found myself cracking up just about every single chapter. The artwork is kind of simple, but really beautiful and compelling in its own right. And just the way that the artwork kind of translates these comedic elements, it turned out so well. The two main characters are kind of idiots sometimes, but that just makes their story and their dynamics that much more fun. So yes, Season 2 has not been announced yet, nor has Season 2 of Turning the Mad Dog into a Genteel Lord for that matter. I think that one might even be on a indefinite hiatus right now. So these releases are not confirmed as of right now. Like, we do not have a set date. I guess these two are more so like hopeful anticipated releases for me. Biggest disappointment for books this year so far has definitely been Out of the Woods. I loved Out on a Limb so much. It is one of my top favorite books of all time now, and especially is my top favorite contemporary romance. So I had high hopes when it came to this book, and it was an extremely bland experience for me. It's essentially about this married couple, and they are best friends with the couple from the first book. They're having some issues in their marriage. They have been married since they were teenagers. They don't have any kids, but they're going through a very rocky patch in their relationship. And so they decide to attend this week-long, essentially like camping therapy trip for couples in hopes that it's going to help them, kind of like navigate their issues and overcome them. My issue with this book is that not for a single second did I believe that they were actually not going to be able to solve their issues in the end. And for that reason, there is just a complete and utter lack of tension throughout the entire book. And honestly, they don't really hash out their issues to the extent or in the depth that I think that they needed to, or that at least I would have liked to have seen. My experience with this book was extremely bland, extremely mild. I think I rated it 2 stars, and it just did not come even close to the impact that Out on a Limb made for me. So yeah, it was a very disappointing read. Biggest disappointment show. I don't have a show for this particular section. I did talk about a little bit how The Trunk, the Korean drama, was a disappointment for me, but ended up just being something that I really didn't like overall. So we're gonna skip that. I do, however, have a big disappointment for webtoons, and that has to go to A Demon's Wish. Don't get me wrong, I started off loving this webtoon so much. It is in a college setting, and our male lead is a demon, and it's about a romance between him and this like female college student. The art style in the beginning was right up my alley, like super clear, super crisp, just the characters are all just very beautiful, and also I think have very unique character designs as well. Somehow along the way, now 50 chapters in, the art style seems to have changed drastically. It seems like it's almost shifted towards like the male gaze, and I purposefully stray away from like more ecchi type of manga and webtoons. It's not for me. Not the gaze I'm trying to view these characters from. And then also somewhere along the way, we seem to have lost the plot. I'm really not too sure what's going on or have any clue or even really want to know what's gonna happen. I might drop it. If not for the fact that I do still think that our male lead Doya is like pretty freaking fine. I think I would have dropped it probably like 10 chapters ago. So we shall see. But yeah, disappointing in the fact that I would say the first half of the chapters that have been released so far, I was enjoying so thoroughly. And now I'm just not a fan, really, at all. Biggest surprise for me so far this year when it comes to books has been this little book called Tide Score. I feel like the majority of the books that are recommended to me these days that I see coming across my feeds feature power dynamics, at least when it comes to like spicy scenes. And sometimes that even, kind of like leak beyond that, where the man is the dominant one and the woman is more submissive. Even if it's not in like a traditional BDSM context or type of way, the power dynamics often shift that way. And sometimes I just crave something different. I get tired of seeing kind of these same dynamics played over and over again, just in different like styles and fonts. I want to see the woman taking charge. I want to see how that plays out. I want to see different communication dynamics and the intricacies that also are born from these dynamics that kind of break beyond the norm. So I hopped on Reddit trying to find a book that featured a dominant woman and a submissive male, and I came across this one. Tide Score is a super quick read. I think it's less than like 300 pages, and that's for the ebook. I don't even know if you can buy physical copies of this book. I have read other books that feature these dynamics before, and I have enjoyed quite a few in the past, but I think that this one really came across as a surprise to me because of the quality of the spicy scenes. I don't care what you say, there's good smut and then there's bad smut. There's really bad smut. And I think, and I've definitely said this before in other videos, but when it comes to smut, if it's done well, it is an art form in and of itself. Sex is a powerful thing and it can be extremely beautiful, and I will just always appreciate good quality smut. And when it comes to quality smut, look no further than this book. In this book, we have Iris, who is our main character, and she has essentially been living her life with this like past of no strings attached kind of sex, but she is extremely attracted to the owner and pastry chef of her favorite bakery. And so the story follows their romance. This book definitely has BDSM themes, and so our male lead really enjoys it when women take charge in bed. And so he really doesn't date too much anymore. He's had bad experiences in the past trying to bring it up to women that he's been seeing, and so kind of has given up on dating, at least for now. There's really not a plot. Like, the plot is the romance and the smut, essentially. But the sex scenes were so good. The way that the author writes about the different experiences and the different emotions that both the characters are experiencing as they're kind of like navigating this new relationship, because it's new for the female lead. Like, she has never done any of that before, but she kind of falls into it naturally. And so it's really fun for her to explore this side of her that she ends up finding really aligns with like who she is as a person. I like spicy scenes where it's not just that they're hot, but they're really endearing and kind of heartwarming as well. The characters have great communication between the two of them, just like green flags all over the place. They were just two characters that I rooted for so much and that I just wanted to see happy together, and I thoroughly enjoyed their story. I don't have a biggest surprise for shows so far this year, but I do have one each for manga and then webtoons. For my biggest surprise manga, it's definitely Fall in Love, You False Angels, which is just like a gem of a manga for me. And especially when it comes to like high school romance, it takes a gem for me to enjoy it. And I have been enjoying this one so much. Both the female lead and the male lead in this manga are like super smart, super beautiful. They're like the most popular kids on campus. They're also really kind people. At least that's how everyone else views them. Everyone at the high school calls the female lead an angel, but she is not an angel at all. She's actually like pretty full of herself and kind of has a big head, but she really owns those moments. And yeah, I don't know. I just like find that really refreshing and also hilarious about her character. And then the male lead also isn't just like this like perfect dude that everyone thinks him out to be as well. And so they both find out that they both wear these facades around other people. They kind of find solace in each other and the fact that they know that they can be their real and true authentic selves around each other. Cue the romance. And this is where the female lead really shines for me. She's not really afraid of her emotions. You know, I feel like a lot of the time in shoujo, we're seeing these characters that are, you know, embarrassed to admit that they have feelings, or they're trying to hide them for one reason or another. Not with this female lead. She is bold, I would say, with her emotions and is willing to own them. And that is just making for a really exciting and unique dynamic between her and the male lead as well. The artwork also, oh my God, fantastic. So beautiful. Highly recommend. And I think that this manga comes as a surprise to me because even though I am pretty good at judging whether or not I'm gonna like something, when I first decided to read this, I was kind of taking a chance. There was a part of me that was like, okay, this is either gonna go really well or really badly. And I almost kind of was expecting the bad to outwin the good, but I'm so happy to say that it's the opposite. My other biggest surprise for this category is a webtoon called Melt Bless You. And there is just so much to be said about this webtoon. The webtoon takes place in the United States in New Jersey, which is a very vastly different setting than I'm used to when it comes to webtoons. And I think the author, and I think that this is like a webtoon where it's like the author and the artist are the same person. I know sometimes they'll have the writer and then they have like the artist that's actually like, you know, drawing everything. I think it's one person for this one. They do a fantastic job at conveying this kind of like dark and gritty and grimy vibe through the color choices of the artwork, through the art style itself, like the stylization of all the different characters. And it really just really contributes to this fantastic dark gritty vibe that's going on in the webtoon so far. So for the premise, we have our female lead who is 20 years old and she has been sheltered her entire life. Her dad is a mafia boss essentially, and he never lets her even step outside the house. All of the people that she knows are his staff members that she has grown up with. Her mom passed away when she was a kid, and so yeah, this is kind of like this extremely sad and sheltered life that she's lived, but she is not a sad type of girl at all. She's a little cuckoo sometimes. She's a complex character that seems to be leaning more so towards morally gray as far as like what I've read so far. In the story, she is kidnapped on her 20th birthday by this mysterious man named Bud. We don't really know Bud's backstory, really don't know too much about him to begin with. We do continue to learn more about him, and then also continue to learn a lot more about the female lead, because you come to realize that there are so many things that you don't know about her character, and you really learn to not assume when it comes to this webtoon. Like it'll continue to prove you wrong if you keep making assumptions. Besides the fact that the story is like very dark and gritty and like suspenseful, as I've mentioned, there are a few romance subplots that are going on as well, and like these subplots are surprisingly adorable, especially for how dark and gritty the story is. So I'm really loving this like juxtaposition that's happening. For media that has made me cry so far this year, I have one book and one Korean drama. For the book, it is Demon Copperhead. And if you follow me on TikTok, you may have seen that I have been posting kind of updates as I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm gonna talk more about my experience with the book in a different video, because I actually have quite a few like thoughts and opinions, and have finally realized why I wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought that like I probably should have. But just know that this book made me cry not because I was really feeling for the main characters. They themselves didn't really bring out a ton of emotion from me, but I cried more so in the sense that what the characters were experiencing reminded me of things that have happened in my own personal life. And so I was thinking about those things that have happened in my life. And so that's what made me cry. So it wasn't really in the sense that I was like empathizing with the characters as much, but they just reminded me of stuff that's happened in my life. And that's not to say that what the characters are experiencing isn't like super tragic and very, very sad. My issues lie with the storytelling, like the way that we are experiencing the novel through the characters' eyes. I don't think was written in a way that really pulled at my heartstrings or that really felt very compelling to me. But still, technically, yes, it did make me cry. And then for the K-drama that made me cry, absolutely, Lovely Runner, 100%, mainly in the first episode, but then as the story continues on, the lead character, our female lead, Im Sol, is so selfless to the fact that she like brings herself immeasurable pain, and I felt for her. Every choice that she made that actively put aside her own wants and wishes and desires and the things that would make her happy for the purpose of making someone else's life better, it hit. It was a like tragically beautiful thing to witness. So yeah, Lovely Runner, hands down. God, please watch that drama. I don't care if you have never seen or wanted to see a K-drama in your life. I don't even really care too much if you're not a romance fan. This drama could convince anyone to become a romance fan. It's that good. Books that made me happy so far this year, I think the only one that really has made me happy has been Project Hail Mary. And I know I've already talked about it a lot, so we're gonna keep this short and sweet, but it really pulled some intense positive emotions from me. I don't think I've smiled so much while reading a book in years. Genuinely laughing out loud. And you can only imagine, like I'm listening to this audiobook while I'm running, and I'm just like cracking up as I'm running down the sidewalk. Just a freaking banging good time. Show that made me happy is Apothecary Diaries Season 2, and specifically the frog scene. That's all I'm gonna say. I loved everything about that scene. Everything about the way it was executed, the build-up, the aftermath, just fantastic. And then I don't really have a webtoon or manga that has like made me happy. happy per se. I've enjoyed them, but I wouldn't say that they've brought out super positive, happy emotions from me. My TBR for the rest of the year when it comes to books, number one, I only finished one book in the entire month of June. I made a whole video dedicated to my June TBR. I had 6 books that I was hoping to read. Only succeeded reading one of them, and it was the shortest one of them all. So let this be an announcement that I will now be switching to seasonal TBRs. Evidently, I do not have the willpower to hold myself accountable for finishing 6 books in a month, which I mean, I really thought that it wasn't going to be too much. I've definitely done that and far more in the past, but you know, it's fine. Given that my few upcoming months are arguably going to be busier than my month of June, I will start another TBR when fall comes around. Anyways, besides the 5 books that I still have outstanding on my June TBR, I have a few other ones I want to add on. So I already mentioned The Night and the Moth for sure. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil is another one. I just recently finished reading my first horror book ever, and I didn't really like it too much. I am a wimp, but I've come to realize that I think I can handle horror books. Like, they can't jump scare me through the page, but still, overall, I thought it was a very mild experience. And so I want to read one that hopefully I'll end up giving 4 or 5 stars. And I looked on Reddit, and everyone on Reddit was recommending Swan Song as a really good horror book. So adding that to my TBR, I also recently thrifted the entire Game of Thrones series for $13, which I was stoked about. So adding that onto my TBR. And then the last one is The Name of the Wind, which is the first book in the King Killer Chronicles series, which I also thrifted along with the Game of Thrones books. My TBW, I guess technically to be watched for shows for the rest of this year, number 1 is Spy Family, the anime. I've heard so many good things about it, and it seems like a really fun watch, so I'm adding that to my TBW. For Korean dramas, I have 2. I already talked about Our Unwritten Soul, and then the other one is When Life Gives You Tangerines. I simply cannot believe that I haven't watched it yet. I've had so many friends recommend it to me and said that it was fantastic, a 5-star watch. So really looking forward to that. You season 5 on Netflix. I've watched all 4 of the previous seasons and have found them to get, I'd say progressively more ridiculous with each season, but I'm still having a great time with them. So You season 5. And then lastly, I was gonna add the Project Hail Mary movie to this list, but I just double checked and looked it up right now. It's not coming out until March of next year, so I'm looking forward to that as well. I don't have any manga or webtoons for my TBR for the rest of this year. Again, as they pop up is when I kind of start to read them, so I don't really have any that I've been wanting to read or that are on my TBR list that I haven't already started. So yeah, that is my mid-year freakout tag. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you have any recommendations across all forms of media, please send them my way. And then also, I would love to hear your thoughts on all of the things that I talked about today, because there was quite a few, I would say. But besides that, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you take care, and I will see you next time.